Hello everyone, this is Ross. Today I will show you how to remove side panels and the back panel on your Argos to gain access underneath for diagnostics or maybe some maintenance. So to start, we'll need a 1.5mm hex key to remove this set screw in your knurled temperature dial. So loosen this, that will slide right off. There's a small screw in there, you might have to twist it to find that. Next, we recommend these plastic spudges to get in and help pull off your side panel. These are magnetically held in. We'll set that to the side. Going around to the other side, let's see, I'll go for a back view here. So we have a jam nut on here, and that helps hold the clocking of your steam valve. So to remove it, you don't necessarily need to loosen the jam nut, but if you do, we use this thin 16mm wrench. Really, this is used for tightening. To loosen it, you could just loosen it from the body, but I'll show you here. I'll go ahead and loosen this, and it will be pretty snug. So then I'll grab, if it's loose, you won't need the 22mm, but if you have a 22mm or an adjustable wrench, you could grab the body of the valve itself, spin this around just like this, and then you could loosen it this way. But if you loosen the jam nut with the thin 16, you could do it by hand. The thin wrench is ideal so that you don't scratch up the wood siding. So this will slide all the way out. Some water might dribble out, so we'll set that to the side. Use our spudge to get under here and pull off this side panel as well. So both the side panels are off. This allows us some access if we need to see back here for some reason. Now, what you may have noticed is underneath of your Argos, over here, I think this one has water in it actually, so I won't flip it all the way, but here's an Allen key. We can remove this. This 3mm hex key will get us going for the back cover. So there is a hidden screw in this top center slot. So we will insert the Allen key at the top here and gently unscrew that. Note that not all 3mm hex keys will fit in this slot. It is pretty much a 3mm diameter. When you back that out, the small screw in there will probably fall down, and I'll show you guys how to retrieve that and reinstall that. It will take a little bit of technique. So we'll remove that, and then coming underneath the machine, there are the two screws in the back. The backmost screws under here, we'll loosen those and remove those. Now I'm actually going to switch to my nicer tools. So these are what hold the back cover on from underneath. So I'll loosen these and set them to the side. And then usually I recommend the next two screws up, I'll just loosen those a couple turns. It just helps slide the back cover off. With those screws removed, I will grab the sides of this back panel here and I'll pull out while I slide it straight back. The reason I pull out is to help get it around this PCB tray. You'll see everything plugged in back here. You'll note there is a blue shop towel here. The reason we have this is, I'll kind of walk you through what's going on in your machine here. So up top, we have a steam manifold. So steam is pulled from the very top of the boiler. It comes down to this manifold and then out the side to where your steam valve and steam wand sit over here. Just inside of that, this is where we have our overpressure valve. So in the event that the solid state relay fails and the redundant pressure stat fails, which is highly unlikely, we still have a purely mechanical pressure release valve. So it's spring actuated at, I think it's about 3.3 bar pressure. This will open up and bleed some steam out. So actually designed into this valve, just above this internally, is our anti-vacuum valve. That works very similarly to the piston bleed valve that we have. It's a very common design. The Cremina uses it, this style. And I mean, there's many ways people go about it, but it's basically a stainless steel ball with an O-ring at the top there, and then there's a very small hole up in this gap. And so the way it works is as the machine heats up, that ball will kind of bounce up and down. Air will bleed out, and eventually under enough pressure, it'll push the ball up against the O-ring and seal it off. That way you don't get false pressure as it heats up, and then as the boiler cools and steam condenses, it doesn't create a vacuum in there, hence the name anti-vacuum valve. So because we vent to atmosphere right at the top here, it's very normal for all anti-vacuum valves to leak a little bit of water. As you know, you have water boiling in here and water's going to be passing through the lines. Steam will condense as it cools off out here, but a little bit of water will kind of bubble up the top, drip down, and so that's sort of why we have this blue shop towel here, just to catch any small drips that come down, and then it dries out during normal operation of the machine. So we are currently working on another solution for this. So our ideal solution in the future is this small little reservoir. So basically it has a small hole in the top here. It's very hard to see because it's black, with an O-ring that would sit in there. This slides up into that small space up here. And so basically any air and water would vent out and drip into this little reservoir, which has an open top. And so we'll still kind of need to work on it, but ideally the water will go into here. Maybe there's a wicking mechanism so that it can kind of wick out and dry. There's a small little opening on the back here. This would line up with one of the slots on your back cover. In the event it overfilled from overfilling the boiler, then it would seep out the back. But that is also why we have what we call this windage tray, which covers the electronics, so any drips down will kind of drip down to the bottom here. So that's just a bit about what's going on back here. So if you see a towel back here, that is normal, and it should be dry in most cases. To reinstall everything, we'll first make sure that all of our wires are tucked in nice and neatly on the side. We'll make sure that we have this shop towel tucked underneath of the pressure release valve on the side there, and sort of laying down on the top of this windage tray piece. We'll then take the small screw, which will go in the top of the back cover. So this process is a little difficult. So what I'll actually do is I'll get all my wires tucked in. I'll get this all lined up and ready to go. I'll actually get the bottom part of this set. Now I'll have to take the screw. I'll probably go in from above here. I'll reach in, and with the hex key, I will get the hex key line up in the head of the screw. I'll sort of use my finger here to push it up, and then I'll get it lined up into that hole in there, and then I'll push forward with the hex key to keep the screw pressed in. If you don't do this, it'll likely fall out while you're getting all of your covers put together, which can be a very frustrating process. So while I hold this in place with my, in this case, non-dominant hand, I'm going to make sure all the wires are nice and tucked in on this side, and I'll sort of pull out on the cover slightly to work that in. I'll switch to the other side, and I'll kind of keep working that, all while holding this hex key and the screw in place. Alrighty. So once we get everything tucked in well, now I will start to thread in the hex key. You might have to like kind of move the cover, wiggle the cover around side to side to find where it engages. You don't want to force it. If we strip this in there, it's a painful process to get out. And so again, I'm not even going to torque it that much. I won't even switch ends of the hex key. I'll just sort of get it with my fingers, so that's snug, not too much. I'll get the bottom pressed in here, and then I'll reinstall those bottom 2 screws. And do not forget to re-tighten down those other 2 screws that we loosened in front, just the heavies. So also like kind of push in the back cover a little bit to get the corners lined up while I tighten this down. And these don't need any high torque, just snugged up down here so that things aren't moving. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we'll go to our steam wand side. So I'll take the side panel, make sure it's kind of cleaned off. I will put that in first. Then I will get my steam valve. Helps to put a little bit of grease on this O-ring. I'll get it inserted. Let's change the angle here. So I'll get that inserted here. And you might have to kind of find where it centers and then start to thread it by hand. If it doesn't quite go, again, you don't want to cross thread it. So I would actually back it off, go opposite while pushing into the machine to help align these threads. Alright, there we go. So it should move pretty easily. And so I will back this jam nut pretty much all the way out to the valve body, and then I'll get this lined up. So there will be a little bit of spacing in here. That is normal. So now from the side view, what we do from the factory is we turn the steam wand around this way, and so I'll use this 22mm. Basically the way we line it up is that we want the wand coming straight out from this nut and the valve body here, and with this, let's see if we get a good angle here. With this coming straight out, we usually go for this corner here to be tangent with the back cover. So I'm going to go a tiny bit more. So again, this I wouldn't say is straight out, and this is not straight out. I would say right in the middle here is straight out. This is tangent with the back cover. And so that is how we align it. You can adjust it based on your preferences, but with that aligned, I will take this 16mm thin wrench, and I'll go ahead and tighten down this jam nut. I'm going to use my other hand to sort of hold this valve body in place while I tighten it. I'll make that snug. That's just that this whole valve doesn't move around. Alright, then we'll come back to our other side, our other panel. We'll just snap right in, and then we'll take our knurled temperature knobs. The way we align it is we'll go all the way counterclockwise till it stops. We'll twist up one, and then this is where we will go. We will align the black marking with 88, and with our 1.5mm hex key, we will find that jam screw. We'll tighten it down, and once you snug it up, you can go through and just make sure all of your detents lock in and line up with a temperature setting. And you could always adjust that as you need. Some machines you'll find you might like push this all the way in when you tighten it down, or you might have to provide a little gap to push it in for a steam mode. So you'll just kind of have to see what works best for your machine. But that is how you disassemble and reassemble the back and side covers. Thank you.